get the, it's the, sorry. It's the
Mhm.
politicians get the runarounds, you know, they want dot every I and cross every T with them. But these big business people who can give them one tip at the end of the day, you know, they just let them wait for documents to come, but they give them what they need, you know, and they don't pressure them. I mean, it happens at all levels of government, you know, and they just get away with it. And for years, they don't operate with license. So I
Well,
was saying they don't need to be giving us VAT and everything else. They just need to collect on their fees and we'll be good.
well, it says here that the Americans, the scandalarists say that the Americans were sending money to bank accounts of which ZRK had no knowledge. And that's the part that question that raised another red flag. How could they be sending money to a bank account that is not theirs? I don't understand that. Now, don't forget now the license is in the name of ZRK.
Ms. Archer, so too in the
Who
banks.
signed on the accounts though? Because
That's-
when you're talking about sending wire transfers, it's really the signatories who authorize that. Now, I don't know if anybody was auditing on their end, but whoever was signing, they were the ones directing, you know, where these money should be going.
But oftentimes, like
Yeah.
she's saying that the name didn't match the account. That's what you're saying, Ms. Archer?
No. Okay. So ZRK, the Scandalaris company, is the one in the contract that they signed with the Americans. We agree, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the Scandalaris are saying that the Americans put money on the account and they had no knowledge of it. So my question is, how could the Americans go into the bank and put money on an account that belongs to the Scandalaris? How can they do that?
They can, because like, just like you could come in and deposit for your sister or deposit on your sister account because she give you money to deposit there. So you can make the deposit, the thing comes where the source of fund and all of that will come into play. And that's questioned with the account holder. So anybody could go in and make a deposit to your account because you gave them the account number.
Mm,
You
Yeah,
see?
that is true.
Mhm.
yeah, I guess. But then he couldn't withdraw it though.
No, they could not withdraw.
They couldn't withdraw it.
I learned recently that Bank of America has actually stopped accepting those type of transactions. In order for you to go into the bank, into the branch and put money on someone else's account, you yourself have to have an account there. They have to know you.
That makes sense.
Which Scotia has now adopted that as well. I think Royal, to some degree too, has adapted that in order for you to make a deposit. In fact, you can't even make a deposit to somebody else's account from the Scotia. You have to be that person.
Yeah. But that's the only way you could get around this. So that's why I don't understand how they, but like you say, they walked in and they deposited. But they say here in contravention of NIB and VAT, no contributions were being made and no revenue was being forwarded to the authorities from sales in the cosmetic store on Bay Street. So ZRK, the company, that's the Scandalaris people, they accuse the Americans of bypassing the system. So to avoid personal liability of its directors, which is the Scandalaris themselves, that's why they brought this action. They sent in the letter to them telling them that, you know, they're going to end the agreement. But they knew all along that this was a front. Because to occupy it and use their license, that's why they charged them $5,000 a month. So people will do fictitious loans. They'll do false loan application, fraudulent attestation letters, fraudulent reference letters, all of these things that they do. And this is why you see the Bahamas is constantly always on attack too, because one of the red flags from an international market is the utilization of these IBCs. So even though they could be used legitimately, in their view, most of these companies are used illegitimately. Because they say that they use it to hide who it really is, the true owner, and then place layers in their structure.
And that is very true. When you start digging down into these complex structures, you'll be surprised who the beneficial owner is.
I agree with you. But don't forget now, that is what we promote, structuring. The structuring is all a part of anonymity. But on our end, we must know who is the beneficial owner. Not just the beneficial owner based upon what they say, but who is really the beneficial owner. So, and notice too, when they name agents and directors for their company, those people could be anybody. They may not even be related to them at all. Or sometimes they put companies as directors or officers. So that whole having an IBC and that anonymity is what attracts money launderers to getting that product. So one of the things that you always have to watch out for is to make sure that these LLC, the company, the country in which they're incorporated, they're not on the FATF list of deficient countries. That's the first thing you have to look for. And that's why I was saying, as soon as they saw that those monies were coming from Juno Bank from Slovakia, that should have been a stop. Because it either could be someone on the deficient list or country that's being monitored by the FATF or country that's being called to action. That should have raised a red flag. Something here is not legitimate. So even though there's a lot of scrutiny on these LLCs/IBCs, because you know the United States has a lot of LLCs and they have their own states where you can incorporate an LLC and there are no taxes.
You mean like Delaware?
Yes, and Wyoming.
Yep.
Yep. And so they would incorporate the company in those states and then come and register them over here as a foreign company and purchase their land. So what the money launderers have learned is that you could adapt to the regulatory climate. So just like how we're discussing it here, they're discussing how they could get around certain things. How the best way to structure it. So whenever a property is being bought for someone who's doing money laundering, they always put it in the name of a third party. They're not going to put in the name of someone. When you go to Google them or world check them, you're going to come up where you see there's a lot of hits. Now you even have instances where you have certain companies incorporate companies on behalf of their clients, but it gives the appearance that it is them who are incorporating the company, but they're actually doing it for their clients. So someone who's really into illegal business would set up their structure whereby they can operate bank accounts, facilitating from the companies that they have incorporated. And then to make it even better, they would hire an attorney in the low tax jurisdiction. And then have their companies incorporated. And then they would pay for local nominees to be on the registers as a director. And then they'll open their accounts. Once they have the company incorporated, they can open accounts in other jurisdictions around the world and begin to move money. But that's how this money laundering business works. So you have to be very careful when transactions cross your desk to think about, what if these funds are illicit? What do I do? And you know, if you're not in compliance, you file an unusual transaction. Because the law says, what does the law say? Do you have to actually know?
No, I think, I don't know like the exact verbiage, but as long as you have reason to suspect, you don't have to know for fact.
Right. Reasonable suspicion. And that reasonable suspicion is whether or not they're concealing it, if they're disguising it, if they're converting it, if they're transferring it, if they're removing it from the jurisdiction, or even if they're making some arrangement, or they're acquiring it, retaining it, using it. All of that, or you're using the proceeds of the crime itself. All of that. It should trigger in your mind that this is an offense under the Proceeds of Crime Act.
Question, Ms. Archer.
Mhm.
What if you suspect a customer such as, let's just say, a law firm, right? Operating what essentially would be an escrow account. And you notice movement on the account where it seems that clients' funds are being used for other purposes other than holding them in escrow.
Mhm.
What should you do?
It sounds like you need to file.
Okay.
That's a breach.
Crystal Mini has been disbarred because of it too.
Mhm. That's a breach. You cannot utilize clients' funds, and you cannot commingle it.
And that's what I was thinking, mainly from previous classes.
Mhm. You can't commingle.
Okay.
That's a no-no. That's a breach even from their fraternity,
Right.
that they can't commingle funds. And then if they're having funds in escrow, then they fall under the Compliance Commission, and that's a bigger no-no.
Right. Ah, okay. That layer I didn't know. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. So that's it for me for money laundering. I thought I said, let me just bring those two cases to your attention. Do you want me to send you the next one? CRK? You want to read about the Scandalaris?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. I have another question, Ms. Archer, kind of off topic.
Go ahead. While I send this case.
Okay,
Go
so
ahead.
as a bank, if a customer asks you to view and or provide them with a copy of the contents of their account file, what is the legal, I guess, stance, opinion, mandates surrounding that, if any?
First, the legislation, the first thing is the legislation under the Data Protection Act, that a client has the right to see their information. Now, to trump that, you have to look at the terms and conditions that they sign when they open the account. What are the terms and conditions under the bank's policy?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, but why would they want to see it? What are they looking for?
I don't know. This was just a scenario that popped up. I don't have much information surrounding it. I was just trying to remember if there was any anything under law.
Data protection.
Okay, Data Protection Act. All right, thank you.
They wanna know, information on something they provided already?
That's what I'm trying.
Yes, so they're trying to, I believe they're trying to get copies of like their account opening forms.
Why?
The bank forms?
Yes,
Why?
Why?
Again, I don't know the reason.
No. I
Yes,
have the
Mm.
because you completed a form and whatever you completed, once you completed, you signed it. That-
Mhm.
Signing means that you agree to the terms and condition. So the only thing you need is the terms and condition, which should be readily available.
okay,
Right?
So bring them, if they want to sue the bank for a particular matter, then they have to go to an attorney.
right,
And then the attorney will speak to your attorney, the bank's attorney, and request certain documents that it needs in order to build its case.
understood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's fine, making much sense. You just provide information you provided.
Yeah.
And you should know what you provide. Oh.
Right, if it was, truthful and full disclosure.
But it's standard to open an account. You need your passport, your driver's license. If you don't have that, your birth certificate, your utility bill, a job letter. What else is there?
That's what I'm saying. I know.
Yeah, what else is there? If you had to provide something that was outside of that,
Right.
I'm sure you would
So
remember.
this is a company as well. This isn't an individual, but still, it's still your
Yeah.
corporate documents.
I only get documents which you provided. I trust it is you had copy of it and the bank form itself that you signed. I mean, you should have known and read. I don't understand.
Yeah,
So.
no,
Mm-mm.
I don't see there's anything in there versus when you look at the Data Protection Act, you can go to your doctor's office and you get access to your file.
Yes.
It's different.
Okay.
It's a different arrangement.
Understood.
Yeah.
Ms. Archer, I was just kind of, sorry, Christy, you done with that?
Yes.
Okay, I was just kind of glancing over that same case with these people in Royal Bank and the millions of dollars. The Mr. Smith, I mean, and they don't say much about him, but the Mr. Smith seemed to be somebody who introduced the Nassau development person to this foreigner. That's what he seemed to be playing that role.
I
And
told you,
Kevin
Gary.
he ain't have to go to central bank, he ain't have to do this and that. So he led this man astray, and this man thought he was credible witness. That he didn't have to do some of the things that Royal now is asking him to do.
He
That's
needs to be.
what-
He needs to be in jail because how did he come up with this whole scam?
He believed this Mr. Smith man, so it appears as if this Mr. Smith introduced him to this foreigner.
That's what I'm saying. Mr. Smith needs to be arrested.
Exactly.
He's a fraudster.
He's the expert international, intermediary.
Yes, he's an intermediary. There's a lot of them all over the world, and they're crooked. They're the people who come beforehand, before the real beneficial owner comes, to talk about what's available, how much do you charge, where is the property. Oh, I have a lot of clients who are interested in purchasing some property. Oh, they're from Slovakia, they're from Bulgaria, they're from here, they're from there. Crooked. And they swing him. Now, he may have been under the impression that Mr. Ferguson had money. Because this doesn't make any sense unless, like I say, they were trying to move money.
He know that Mr. Ferguson liked money, not that he have it, he like it, and so he has a company. This would be a good person to go through because he wouldn't ask no question, just as long as you say the right price, the right set of money moving through his account, he has not a problem.
But it seems as if this Mr. Smith's being the court. I need to find out who Mr. Smith is. His area of expertise was his knowledge of cost-effective international banking transaction. His area of expertise was a mastermind in fraud.
He been to the University of YouTube. That's what they need to know.
Sound like he was an expert in hiding money.
No, but I agree with her. He probably watched these things on YouTube. You know, he probably created a certificate from YouTube and he's out there acting as an intermediary.
Probably.
But I mean, he went to the court to give evidence. And they say here when the court asked him about base 1 and base 2, he gave a incoherent explanation. And then the bank's witness had to explain what was base 1 and base 2. And they refer to the manner in which card transactions are processed. They have nothing to do with VIP and non-VIP cards, as suggested by Mr. Smith.
Mrs. Smith was just a good show, you know, and he
The
had
prof-
the person believing every word he said.
Yeah, he believed him. He believed him. But I'm trying to wonder if it wasn't money being moved from that Eastern Europe area, whether or not they were trying to access his funds, not knowing that he didn't have any funds. Or were they going to send it and then he was going to ship this aragonite and then not get paid because Visa was not going to pay this. It's somewhere in here this intermediary was going to get a cut.
But he was getting paid because the money came to his account.
Yeah, but then
Yeah.
they freeze it after that.
Right.
But no one sends $22 million to no one they've ever met. How does this man, Mr. Pavla, know that Ferguson has aragonite? Where he get aragonite from in the first place?
Why, that just raised too many questions here and there.
That's why the police should have been standing up outside. He should have been arrested. But you probably may see his name and he come in the bank at one of his companies to do a facilitation that he
He
has.
coming to BOB because time is Miss Johnson, them not reading the riot act.
He come in the hope.
Not there.
The thing about it is, like I always tell students, they think that nobody reads these things. Yeah, in the paper, but you'll forget about it.
Okay.
What happened, Fountain? Fountain, you were saying,
No, I just listening to how we getting used and reviews. So yeah, that's all. I just
you could only shake your head because this along with the one with ZRK puts us in a very bad light as Bahamian people. These are just 2 incidents. 2.
you want to call?
So imagine what the foreigners are saying about us.
No, sorry.
They said, let's go to the Bahamas.
But in the papers today, they spoke too about these persons who wanted to purchase some resort here in the Bahamas, and they come to find out that they were charged with fraud. Yep, and they had to tell them no.
And I wonder if the government really is carry out due diligence with these people who won't come here and just buy up land and promise us a good thing. I mean, I know we here in Grand Bahama just continues to suffer, you know, that they come in, I call it raping us and just leaving, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's because they're always too eager to sign.
That's what I'm saying, we're desperate and they just letting people see how desperate we are. Just to say we get heads in beds and it's not working out.
Mm-hmm.
After they done take all our money, they wait for hurricane to come and then they take all the money from the insurance company and leave.
Yep, and leave you with all those buildings rotting.
Dilapidated.
Yep,
And we ain't got the money to try to fix it up.
no, and no one is going to buy those. So you might as well bulldoze those down because they've gone.
Mhm.
They're not coming back. So that's the end of that. Yep. So that's all I wanted to discuss today, to let you all see that this unit on customer due diligence and money laundering is alive. It is here. Our own people are a part of it, and it doesn't paint a very good picture at all.
Mhm. Ms. Archer, remind me again, please, because you know my internet's well in and out. It's kind of getting better. Again about the finals. It will come from 5 to the end,
Yes.
and then you will give us a heads up like you did with the
Mhm.
cases if need be.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
That-
great.
Give you about, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 scenario questions. And where cases are involved, I'll give you the names of the cases like I did the last time. And
Mhm.
you focus on your cases and
Okay,
the that go behind it. Because I think when you apply the cases, you better understand what the law means there. Because just reading the law, reading a clause in a mortgage is one thing, but when it goes before the court, they actually interpret it for you.
right.
So that's what I want to do. I don't probably give you 7 or 8 questions and you choose 5 and you go from there. But I'll tell you what the questions are on and what cases you need to read.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
there's no need to panic.
That's one thing, Ms. Archer, you just give every assurance. There's no need to panic.
No, there's no need to. I give you a question on money laundering, a typical question in terms of the Bahamas has recently been blacklisted again for money laundering, even though the last time we were largely compliant on all fronts, I think 40 out of 41. Yet we continue to be watched by international bodies. Discuss how the Bahamas can address this issue. And you go straight to this case right here, Mr. Ferguson. How can we fix it when we are our own people and not doing what we're supposed to do?
But they need to stop watching us so close. They think because we small and we keep in thing with the Joneses, that's why they eye out on us.
Yeah, but we're small and we don't have anyone to back us. We're actually out there in the ocean in our little dinghy boat.
Mm-hmm. Small fish.
We are by ourselves. We are by ourselves. So we can scream as much as we want, one slap or blow one wind, and that's it.
Like how we're going after America now, falling behind these people, suing the arms dealers, gun makers, I suppose, for all this crime we have now with these guns that's showing up on our shores.
Mm-hmm. They're doing it similar to the one they did when they started out with the cigarette people. You know, it took years and years and years to make them responsible after they found out that so many people had died from cigarettes. And so you had to put that warning label on there. So it's the same thing with the guns. You're going to have to prove that those guns came from the United States, how they come here, how they're being used here, how many people died by gunshot wounds, and whether those guns came from the United States or from somewhere else. Now, all I could say is, since we joined, they must have these statistics. So that means that they know where the guns are coming from.
Well, the Prime Minister says that they have knowledge of where the guns are coming from, hence we now join the fight to sue.
Okay.
Mhm.
One of the main business that we're driving for 2023 is what? It's been in the papers in the last couple months, so y'all don't read the paper. They talk about the yacht business. How you think the guns get here?
Guns get here because customs just let it come through, Ms. Archer.
But that's our people again.
Mhm.
But I'm saying is you could bring them on yachts, you could bring them on sloops, you could bring them on speedboat. You saw in the paper today where 2 Cubans landed in Key West, Florida. How did they get there? They flew from Cuba to Key West using one of those hang gliders. And they made it.
But the border patrol people just know these things, you know.
Yeah, they let them go. They probably look at them and say, hopefully they'll drop in the water and die.
Shaggy to me.
Yep. But they say when they're stupid enough to go up in the air and glide there, well, let them go. If they drop, they drop. That's cool. They going out
That's
there,
true. That's
we're
true.
not going there to stop them. That's their decision.
Oh my.
I find it amazing that no one saw them gliding from Cuba to Key West, Florida.
I see them, the guys in the sky.
They have eyes in the sky. The Chinese have eyes in the sky. Trust me, they saw them. They saw them.
But
What?
just like you said, it's hoping they drop in the ocean.
Yeah. Damn, that's the end of that. That's 2 versus a boatload. A boatload is different. 2, nah, they could go. And if they didn't have an invitation and an application wasn't put in for them, they could ship them back home. That's the new law.
I was just about to ask you if they still have the wet foot, dry foot policy
No.
for them.
No more wet foot, dry foot.
Okay.
No, someone else to put in an application for you.
They're tired now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And other than that, they will ship you back. But now, before we go home, Fountain, let me start with you. And then you could join in, Michelle.
Okay,
Danny,
go ahead.
what did you see in the, oh God, I'm talking about the paper again that y'all don't read. In the papers today, the biggest news is they are appealing the decision of
I
Justice.
was about to tell you that.
Shanty town them.
To the shanty town, I saw that.
Yeah, I heard it. I heard it.
They do want their water supply disconnected. They don't want their buildings demolished. They say that her ruling doesn't give any rationale, no reasoning for her decision.
Oh, Fred Smith. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Fountain.
No, I saw it in the headlines. I didn't go and sit down and read through it. I really had a busy day today, but I intended to. I still have the papers here in front of me in this arch. I do actually go through the papers. I don't sit down and read through them, but I make sure I scan and look
Scan it,
for
just-
the interesting stories here. Yeah.
Okay.
But I did see it. I saw that they planned, well, they are appealing it. I didn't see on what grounds, on what basis they'd be looking at. However, until I really read through it, I still side with the justice in the current ruling. I don't believe that at the end of the day, they'll really find some kind of ground. I think this is just another delay tactic to just keep looking for something to kind of stall this and keep these people in their home. But we don't really have robust. I think we don't really have robust human rights legislation that'll kind of allow them to really stay in place as much as we would, as much as they think they would like to. So yeah, I have to really read through it to see where they're trying to the angle they're going at.
Right in front of me, I have the grounds right here summarized. But remember, we've signed on to a lot of treaties, a lot of human rights treaties. So the first thing they have to do is make sure that that policy that the government has aligns with the human rights treaties that they have signed. See, that's why you see a lot of countries don't sign certain things. You can talk about them as much as they want, they're not doing it.
Well, Masachi, you know, the last CARICOM, and they brought this situation up again, and course, the prime minister would have stood with Jamaica and the rest of them to say, no, we can't do it anymore. We just can't afford it. You know, and so they held their grounds about it. But for me, in this case, it looks like Fred Smith is coming out of hibernation.
He
I
was
know,
sick. He was not in hibernation. He was sick.
I know he was sick. But it's gonna give him, I guess, some energy to want to pursue, just something to do. But of course, it's a fight for its people as well. And I suppose, you know, it's gonna be a long drawn out process. Again, it's just to make a stay that they don't do the demolition to any vast degree. I believe there are going to be some. And although he put that injunction against the ruling, that the government still will carry out some of its processes. But again, it's the people who can't afford it that's going to be caught up, you know. Mhm.
I just sent you all the grounds. You should have it. He appealing it on 6 grounds. They argued that Justice Grant Thompson wrongly concluded the government showed no intention to possess shantytown land in Abaco. They say Hurricane Dorian struck on September the 1st, 2019, and therefore postdated the possession decision. Action taken in light of an event postdating a decision cannot rationally affect the assessment of whether the original decision was in fact taken, and accordingly, the learned judge misdirected herself in the consideration of the evidence on this issue. As a result of this finding, the learned judge did not consider the lawfulness of the possession decision. Had she done so, she ought to have found that it was unlawful for the reasons advanced by the appellants. The second ground of appeal is that the judge failed to address grounds for review, advanced, misconstrued, and misapplied the provisions of the Water and Sewage Act and the Electricity Act, and wrongly applied the case of Mercury Energy Ltd versus Electricity Corporation of New Zealand. The third ground of appeal is that the judge misdirected herself by conflating 2 separate grounds of review, namely, who was authorized to issue the notices, and the question whether the Ministry of Public Works acted under dictation. The fourth ground of appeal is that the judge failed to make any finding and or give sufficient reasons in respect of a decision on the appellant's challenges to the notice's decision based on extraneous purpose, acting under dictation, fettering of discretion, and irrelevant consideration. The fifth ground of appeal is that the judge wrongly failed to find that the notices were invalid on their face. And the final ground of appeal is that the judge misdirected herself in relation to the application for constitutional relief and failed to give reasons for dismissing it. I say just go and bulldoze them down.
I'm serious. They should already run and did as soon as she overturned her previous ruling, run
should
and
have-
her do it.
Yeah. Because some of the videos that you've seen circulating earlier, like 2 months ago, those things that they're doing affects the water table, We could end up being really sick.
Yeah, no proper sanitation in place.
Yep. It's not healthy.
And it's even hazardous to the residents themselves. He should not be encouraging them. Look at how many fatal fires they had in those where the firemen couldn't even get. They had to literally walk from one roof to the next, trying to get into the area to put out fires and stuff like that. Dorian came, he's saying that whatever was post-Dorian, but Dorian is another example of what happened in that area. He shouldn't even be encouraging them to rebuild there.
No. I mean, all we need is for someone to say, or someone, the first case of cholera here, and that's it. Bahamians can find it quick.
And they always reactive. They'll wait till it happened and then
Then,
want to
yeah,
do something.
yes. All right, so Fontaine says he's gonna take his time and read that tonight while he drinks his cup of coffee.
No coffee for me now. What happened? You want me to stay up all night?
It ain't that bad. Coffee don't keep you up all night.
No, man, coffee, well, it ain't keep me up all night, but it keep me fresh up, and I ain't into that either. So I read it with some tea or something. Thank you very much.
Okay, drink it with some tea then. All right, so for next class, I think it's on the contractors. So I make sure Miguel send you all the contractors legislation and the environmental legislation. Because that's when persons are coming to do those big projects. I know you've seen the ads. Oh, okay. Fountain may have seen the ads in the paper where they advertise for the environmental impact assessment, asking people to view the report and provide any comments that they have.
Yeah, I saw a few of them.
Okay, right. So
And
we
so
got,
I'm sorry, my internet went out. That thing that you had sent didn't have an attachment with the case. I mean, with the appeal.
It had a link. You click on the link.
Oh, okay,
there's a link.
alrighty.
Yeah, just a link. Mm-hmm.
Ms. Archer, don't let James lump all of us in and stop reading. I read my papers online.
Okay, read it online then. I like the actual feel of the paper. So I actually read the paper from cover to cover. And I looked at it when I was leaving. I said, I had to take this paper today, but why? But anyhow, it's online, so I still found it. And you all have it now. So you can read tonight or tomorrow about ZRK, and you also can read about Mr. Ferguson and his expert, Mr. Smith. So happy reading. All right, so you have an early night. You have more time to go and read more cases, if you wish.
Okay,
you.
thank you. Good night.
Okay, so good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
Enjoy your week.
All
Good
right.
night.
Okay, good night.
Thank you.
You're welcome.